He was the nightmare your parents warned you about, the king of darkness, the master of shock. With smeared makeup, a live python, and a guillotine on stage, he redefined rock performance. But what appeared as chaos was a carefully constructed shield. Beneath the theatrics, a man named Vincent Damon Fournier was hiding. Now at 77, the makeup cracks, the screams have faded, and the lights dim. Fame immortalized Alice Cooper, yet it never made Vincent invincible. Behind the persona was a man haunted by trauma, addiction, and identity struggles. A reality far darker than any stage performance could reveal. A fragile beginning. Vincent's story began in the sun-drenched suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, the son of a strict preacher. Childhood was defined by sermons, rules, and emotional distance, but also by sickness that kept him bedridden for months. Isolation became his companion, and fragility shaped his inner world. While other children played outside, Vincent stayed in bed, reading horror comics, dreaming of escape. The world seemed both familiar and alien, leaving him unseen and unmoored. The pain wasn't just physical, it was a deep emotional dislocation, a sense of being different in a place that demanded conformity. From these shadows, the seeds of Alice Cooper were sown. The birth of an alter ego high school offered Vincent a lifeline: music and performance. Alongside friends, he formed a small band called the Earwigs, which evolved into Alice Cooper. But this transformation was more than a stage persona. It was survival. Alice was fearless, theatrical, and terrifying, a stark contrast to Vincent's shy, insecure self. The character was a mask, shielding him from fear and social rejection, yet the persona also trapped him. Vincent admitted that Alice allowed him to confront parts of himself he didn't understand. In creating Alice, he gained freedom, but the line between man and monster began to blur. Stage terror, hidden pain. The world saw Alice Cooper as a master of shock and spectacle, but Vincent bled through every performance. The blood, the guillotine, the screams, they were more than theatrics, they were manifestations of buried trauma. Audiences cheered, unaware that the performer was confronting childhood pain, addiction, and identity fracture nightly. Behind the makeup, Vincent remained that fragile boy from Phoenix, still haunted by insecurities. As fame grew, the man behind the monster shrank. Alice became louder, Vincent quieter. The persona designed for protection gradually threatened to consume the creator, leaving the world captivated by the monster, while the man remained unseen and unheard. The rise to stardom. By the 1970s, Alice Cooper had become an international sensation. The world marveled at the shock rock theatrics, while Vincent's personal life teetered on the edge of chaos. Fame amplified his inner turmoil, offering both escape and imprisonment. Tours, recordings, and relentless performances blurred the line between reality and character. Offstage, Vincent struggled with alcohol, using it to cope with isolation and anxiety. The persona that once protected him now became a double-edged sword. Fans saw a fearless entertainer, yet no one truly understood the private battles, how survival meant navigating the very darkness he had conjured for public thrill. Addiction and isolation. The pressures of stardom drove Vincent into destructive cycles. Alcohol became a crutch, a way to dull loneliness and fear. The world applauded Alice Cooper's energy, never seeing Vincent's exhaustion and despair. Days off stage were spent wrestling with addiction and the weight of public expectation. The persona that had shielded him from childhood trauma now imposed its own demands, creating a cage of performance and dependency. Friends witnessed the decline, noting a growing reclusiveness and retreat from public life. Fame had protected him, yet it also isolated him, leaving Vincent to navigate a landscape of emptiness and longing while the world celebrated his triumphs. Blurred identities. By mid-career, Alice and Vincent had merged. The lines between persona and man were indistinguishable. On-stage violence mirrored inner turmoil. Public screams reflected private pain. Vincent's psychological landscape was dominated by his creation, and the monster he once controlled now exerted control over him. While interviews portrayed him as theatrical genius, a subtle sadness lingered in his eyes and voice. The man who had reinvented himself to survive now struggled to find identity outside the mask. The creation that saved him as a boy threatened to consume him as an adult, leaving him isolated in plain sight, trapped behind applause and painted faces. The toll of time. At 77, the physical and emotional costs of decades on stage have become unavoidable. The high-energy performances, pyrotechnics, and theatrics that defined Alice Cooper's career have slowed. Tremors, fatigue, and subtle health concerns remind Vincent that mortality cannot be masked. The once invincible showman faces a quieter stage. Empty rooms, fading memories, and the absence of roaring crowds. Even family life is affected. Relationships strained under the weight of fame, years of addiction, and the demands of performance. The persona that defined generations now serves as both a shield and barrier, complicating connections with loved ones in the world outside. Survival and reflection. Despite everything, Vincent remains a survivor. He endured childhood trauma, addiction, fame, and near collapse, yet continues to navigate life with resilience. But survival carries its own cost: isolation, reflection, and quiet sorrow. Memories of years lost to fear, substance abuse, and relentless performance linger. Family moments missed, friendships strained, private battles fought alone. These are the parts of his life no spotlight ever illuminates. The man behind the myth has grown contemplative, weighing the legacy of a life that gave everything to entertain while hiding immense personal suffering, proving that endurance comes at a price that fame cannot erase. The legacy of a legend. Alice Cooper is immortal in rock history. His influence on musicians and fans alike is undeniable. Yet immortality does not erase loneliness, age, or reflection. Vincent Fernier's legacy is both monumental and intimately tragic. The myth and the man coexist uneasily. One inspires awe, the other navigates the quiet realities of human fragility. Fame cannot shield from sorrow, and even legends must confront the consequences of their sacrifices. The triumphs and theatrics are now intertwined with introspection, revealing the profound human story behind the persona that defined generations, showing that the cost of art is sometimes measured in the life of the artist. The final act. The final act of Vincent's life is a different kind of performance. No longer pyrotechnics or guillotines, the stage is now solitude, reflection, and reckoning. Alice Cooper may endure in legend, but Vincent confronts mortality, isolation, and the lingering echoes of trauma. His journey reminds us that the man behind the spectacle is human, fragile, and profoundly affected by the very persona that once saved him. The makeup may be gone, but the pain, survival, and legacy remain. In the quiet of his 70s, Vincent Fernier stands as both icon and man, the ultimate testament to the cost of living behind a mask. Truth. Behind the mask. The tragedy of Alice Cooper is not the persona's theatrics, but the life it concealed. Vincent Fernier gave everything to entertain and survive, yet even survival is tinged with loneliness. Childhood trauma, addiction, fame, and performance have left enduring scars. Yet through it all, he remains a figure of resilience and reflection. At 77, the mask shows cracks, revealing a man both extraordinary and deeply human. His story is a sobering reminder that behind every legend is a private struggle. Alice Cooper is eternal. Vincent's truth is heartbreaking, and together they reveal the complex cost of spectacle and survival.